Let's be honest from the start, kindness alone is not enough to survive in this world. If you believe that simply being a good person guarantees success, then you're living in an illusion, and deep down, you know it. You've just been avoiding the truth. How many times have you felt people walking all over you? How many times have you done the right thing, only to be ignored or worse, exploited? Since childhood, you were taught that goodness is always rewarded, that honesty and nobility will eventually pay off, but reality? Reality doesn't work like that. The world doesn't reward the good, it rewards the clever, the strategic, those who know how to play the game. This is exactly where Machiavelli steps in. Machiavelli understood something most people choose to ignore. Human nature is selfish, fickle, and ruthless when necessary. In The Prince, he makes it clear virtue without cunning is weakness, goodness without strategy is a trap. Now think carefully. How many times have you fallen into that very trap? Look at the people you admire, the ones who've achieved great things. Do you really think they got there with pure intentions alone? Of course not. They succeeded because they knew when to act in the light and when to move in the shadows. Treated morality not as a burden, but as a tool, something to reveal when useful and conceal when dangerous. Your problem is not that you're a good person. Your problem is that you don't know how to protect yourself. You assume everyone plays by the same rules as you, but they don't. The world is full of predators dressed as friends, opportunists who can smell naivety from a mile away, and without realizing it, you've been their perfect target. This is why Machiavelli offers you an alternative. Intelligent kindness. It's not about turning into a villain. It's not about betraying your values. It's about seeing reality as it is, about sharpening your instincts, about learning to read people, predict their motives, and knowing exactly when to open up and when to keep your guard up. Machiavelli said, "It is better to be feared than loved." If you cannot be both, and you, what have you chosen? You've chosen to be loved, to be accepted, to appear harmless. But tell me, how has that worked out for you? What have you really gained from always choosing kindness? Not respect, not power. What you've gained is that others now know they can use you without consequence, because kindness without strength doesn't inspire admiration. It inspires pity. Didn't misunderstand me. I'm not saying you should stop being good. I'm saying you must learn to be good without being naive. You need to see reality clearly. The world does not reward justice. It rewards strategy. True virtue is not submission, but the ability to balance ethics with pragmatism. Machiavelli understood this well. He taught that image is everything. It's not only about who you truly are, but also about how others perceive you. If you appear weak, people will treat you as weak. If you appear strong, people will treat you with respect. Ask yourself, how many times have you allowed others to disrespect you just to avoid losing their approval? How many times have you stayed silent to escape conflict, only to realize later that silence cost you far more than speaking up ever would? This isn't about cruelty. It's about strategy. The secret lies in timing, knowing when to act, when to speak, when to retreat, and when to strike. Kindness, when applied with intelligence, becomes a powerful advantage, but when left unchecked, it transforms into your greatest weakness. The mistake of most good people is believing the world values purity of heart. It doesn't. The world values power, security, and the ability to make hard decisions. Kindness is only respected when it is backed by authority, without power. Your kindness means nothing. Machiavelli would tell you this: never be a lamb in a world of wolves. Never let your morality chain you into servitude. True virtue is not submission, it is intelligence. It's not about passively adapting to the world, but about shaping the world to your favor. So, ask yourself, how much longer will you allow the world to walk all over you? How much longer will you remain the victim of your own innocence? I'm not telling you to abandon goodness. I'm telling you to practice a smarter form of goodness, one that serves you, not just others. Learn to move in the shadows, when needed know when to smile, and when to show your teeth. Because the world is not fair, but you can learn to play by its rules and still remain true to yourself. Machiavelli did not write The Prince to teach you how to be evil. He wrote it to teach you how to survive. Machiavelli wrote The Prince for one reason, to teach you how to survive. Let me ask you, are you going to keep living in the illusion that kindness is enough? Or are you finally ready to start applying true intelligence? Here's a concept very few ever grasp. The perception of power. It is not enough to be strong. You must appear strong. It is not enough to be intelligent. You must project intelligence, because in this world, reality matters less than perception. What people believe about you is often more powerful than what is true. Think about it. How many times have you watched an incompetent person rise higher than someone far more talented? How many times have you seen manipulators succeed, while noble, hard-working people remain stuck at the bottom? This is no accident. People do not follow what is good or what is just. They follow the one who appears in control, the one who knows how to manage their image, the one who projects authority, the one who, even without all the answers, acts as if they already have them. And this is where most people fail. They believe truth alone is enough. They think competence will speak for itself. But the world doesn't work like that. The world does not reward those who are right. It rewards those who know how to sell their version of all reality. Machiavelli understood this perfectly. It's not just about who you are. It's about who others believe you to be. Perception is everything. Insecure leader will never inspire confidence. Even if they are the most prepared, a skilled worker who remains invisible will never be promoted. No matter how good they are, a man or woman who doesn't project value will never be desired. No matter how much they truly have to offer. That's why the key is not only being, but mastering the narrative about yourself. You must learn to shape your image, to direct attention, to guide perception. This isn't about deception. It's about control over how others see you. Because in every social interaction, people don't perceive reality as it is. They perceive it through filters, assumptions, prejudices, emotions, and the question is, are you letting those filters work against you, or are you using them to your advantage? If you are good but seem weak, they will treat you as weak. If you are just but seem soft, they will trample you. If you are talented but appear insecure, they will ignore you. It is that simple. The art of perception is what separates those who control their destiny from those whose destiny is controlled by others. And this leads us to a darker but absolutely necessary truth: the control of information. Have you noticed that the most powerful people always seem to know something others don't? That they always seem to hold some hidden advantage? It's not a coincidence. It's because they understand one thing: power belongs to those who know when to speak and when to remain silent. Naive people believe in absolute transparency. The powerful believe in selective revelation. Honesty is often praised as a virtue. People are taught that always saying what you think, always sharing everything you know, is the right thing to do. But here's the truth: information is power, and giving away too much information means giving away power, always with consequences. Machiavelli warned that a ruler must know how to hide their true intentions, not because they must be a liar, but because in a world where everyone is searching for an advantage, the one who reveals too much becomes vulnerable. You must learn to control what you share. Speak only what is necessary and nothing more. Maintain a degree of mystery. Make people wonder what you truly think, because the moment you become completely predictable, the moment your every move can be anticipated, you lose every strategic advantage you once had. The greatest players in history, whether in politics, business, art, or war, understood this truth. Strategic silence is as powerful as speech. Think of someone you truly admire, someone with real influence. Are they the type to say everything on their mind? Do they expose themselves completely? Or do they always leave something in the shadows? Always keeping a hidden card? Here lies the problem for many people. They confuse transparency with honesty and honesty with weakness. They believe that holding back information means being dishonest. But it's not about lying. It's about controlling the flow of information in a way that serves you. Ask yourself, how many times have you spoken too much, only to regret it? How many times have you trusted the wrong person, revealing something that was later used against you? How many times have you explained yourself when no one even asked, handing your power to people who didn't deserve it? Understand this. Power is not in speaking more. Power is in knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. And here comes the lesson almost no one applies. The person who speaks the least, the person who explains the least, is the one who commands the most respect. Why? Because silence creates uncertainty. Uncertainty creates curiosity, and curiosity creates power. If you always speak your mind without filter, people will stop listening. If you always explain your actions, people will assume you need to justify yourself. But when you speak only when necessary, when your words are chosen carefully, when you leave room for interpretation, people will start paying attention. And this leads to another fundamental principle. The art of unpredictability. Predictable people are easy to manipulate if you always act the same way. If your responses, emotions, and decisions can be anticipated, then you can be controlled. But when you are unpredictable, when no one can be sure what your next move will be, you become dangerous. And when you are dangerous, you are respected. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. A leader who can be read like an open book is a weak leader, but a leader who maintains mystery, who guards part of themselves in shadows, becomes untouchable. Leader who lasts is the one who changes when necessary, who refuses to let others define them, who never allows themselves to be labeled. That is the leader who stays in power. So, now the question is this: do you want to keep living as an open book, easy to read, easy to manipulate, easy to exploit? Or do you want to become a strategist, someone who controls their image, their information, and their unpredictability to their own advantage? Because kindness without strategy is nothing more than an invitation to be devoured. The world will not change its rules for you, so you must learn to play by the rules that truly exist, not the ones you are taught to believe. And if you do this, well, if you apply what actually works, then, for the first time, you will stop being a victim of the system and start becoming one of the few who dominate it. And that brings us to one of the most overlooked but most powerful principles of all, the art of strategic distance. Many believe the key to influence is to always be present, always visible, always available. But the reality is the opposite. Overexposure destroys value. Scarcity creates desire. Absence creates impact. Think about it. Why do some people command respect the moment they enter a room, while others, despite constant effort, never manage to impose authority? The difference lies in perception of value. Machiavelli himself warned that a prince must avoid being too accessible, not because they should disdain their people, but because excessive familiarity kills respect. When you are always there, when you give too much without measure, people begin to take your presence, your effort, your generosity for granted. And this is not just true of politics or leadership. It applies to relationships, to work, to life itself. When you give endlessly, you become disposable. When you are always available, you are no longer a person of value. You are just a resource to be used. Ask yourself, how many times have you given everything to someone, only for them not to appreciate it? How many times have you been there for everyone, only to find no one there when you needed them? That is no accident. It is human nature. What is abundant is ignored. What is scarce is prized. That is why you must learn to manage your presence. Regulate your availability. Control how often others can reach you. Don't respond immediately to everything. Don't always be within everyone's grasp. Make your absence noticed. Make your presence weighty. Because when you master the art of disappearing at the right moment, of conserving your energy, people will start to seek you out. Most people are terrified of disappearing. They fear that if they step back, they will be forgotten. But here is the brutal truth. If the only way you can be remembered is by constantly being there, then you were never truly valuable to begin with. Those who leave a real mark are not the ones who speak the loudest or stand in every spotlight. The ones who endure are those who understand silence, who know when to withdraw and when to return. Look at any great figure in history. The real players were never the ones who clung desperately to attention. They were the ones who mastered presence and absence. The greatest leaders are not everywhere at once. They don't waste their energy fighting in every battle. They reserve themselves for the moments that truly matter. And when they finally appear, everyone pays attention. This brings us to another pillar of power. Emotional control. Here is where most people fail. They think control comes from brute force, from loud voices, aggression, or intimidation. But true mastery, as Machiavelli understood, lies in absolute command over your emotions. The moment you lose your cool, the moment you lash out in anger or react in panic, you hand your power away. Think about the last time someone provoked you into rage. In that instant, who had control, you or the one who made you react? The truth is simple. The one who controls your emotions controls your actions. That is why the strongest individual is not the one who dominates with fists or shouts, but the one who cannot be provoked, the one who stays centered no matter the chaos around them. In debates, negotiations, relationships, any social arena, the calm one always wins, because the one who rules their emotions also rules how others perceive them. Machiavelli put it plainly. A prudent leader must always act with coldness and calculation. It's not about suppressing feelings. It's about never becoming a slave to them. If you react like an animal, you make yourself easy to predict, easy to control. But when you remain composed, untouchable, unreadable, others lose all leverage over youth. True masters of the game are rarely the loudest or the strongest. They are the ones who stay calm, while everyone else loses their head. And this leads us to the final law of power. Strategic patience. Most people are ruled by impatience. They want results now. They want respect now. They want success now. But impatience is weakness. The world belongs not to the impulsive, but to those who wait for the perfect moment. Look around. Society is full of people who rush decisions, who act without thought, who move without considering the long-term price. And that is why they fail. The true players of history, the ones who shaped empires, built dynasties, and forged legacies, were not the quickest to act. They were the most patient. They knew how to observe, how to calculate, how to wait. Think of the hunter. He does not shoot at the first movement. He studies the ground. He measures the distance. He watches. He waits only when the prey is exactly where it should be, only when the moment is perfect. Does he strike? This is the real game of power. Victory does not go to the one who moves first. It goes to the one who moves at the right moment. Machiavelli taught that fortune favors those who know how to adapt and those who know how to wait circumstances. Don't demand that you rush in every direction. The true art lies in knowing when to accelerate and when to slow down. Average people act on impulse. Strategists, however, wait for their moments. So ask yourself, are you the kind of person who charges forward blindly, or the one who waits for the perfect opportunity to strike with surgical precision? Because in this world, power doesn't belong to the fastest, it belongs to the smartest, to those who master perception, guard information, keep distance, maintain emotional control, and practice strategic patience. Once you apply these principles, you stop being a victim of the game. You become a player. The world will remain ruthless, but now you'll know how to move within its rules. And here's the real difference between those who merely survive and those who dominate their destiny: the ability to become an anomaly in the system. Think about it. You already know that kindness alone is not enough, that perception is everything, that emotional control is real power, that patience beats impulsiveness, and that scarcity raises your value. But none of this matters if you continue acting just like everyone else. If you want different results, you must stop following the script written for the masses, not by breaking rules recklessly, but by rewriting the playbook itself. The problem with most people is simple. They stay trapped in limits imposed on them. They follow predictable patterns. They react exactly as expected. They remain confined within what's acceptable. But those who truly leave a mark, those who bend the game to their favor, are the ones who dare to be unpredictable, who operate with new rules, who do what no one else even considered possible. And here's the secret. The world is designed to devour those who conform. If you do what everyone else does, you'll get what everyone else gets: mediocrity, forgettable, lost in time. The only way to win is to break out of the mold, to be the one who acts differently, the one who doesn't react as others expect, the one who rewrites the rules in silence while others keep playing the same tired game. Because here's the brutal truth. Mediocrity is the default setting of the world. If you don't consciously choose to rise above it, you will sink into it. Every system, every society, every group will pressure you to conform, to think the same, act the same, live the same. That's how the game keeps people predictable, and predictable players are easy to control. But anomalies? Anomalies are dangerous. They don't react the way others expect. They don't walk the same paths. They don't play their role in the script. And because of that, they cannot be easily controlled, ignored, or forgotten. So, ask yourself, are you willing to remain ordinary, just another faceless name drowned in time? Or will you become the anomaly, rare, unpredictable, untouchable? Because the world will never reward you for being like the rest. It only respects those who bend reality in their favor, those who dare to see the board differently, those who use patience, perception, and unpredictability as weapons. Stop running blindly. Stop reacting as expected. Stop living by a script that was never written for your success. Step out. Rewrite the rules. Become the anomaly. Only then will you stop surviving and start dominating. Be the one who always carries a hidden card, the one who can never be fully read, never completely anticipated. Be the one whose words carry weight, because your voice is not cheap. When you understand this, something changes inside you. You realize you were never weak. You were simply playing without the right strategy. You see that people didn't ignore you because you lacked worth. They ignored you because you didn't know how to project your value. But now you know, and knowing is dangerous, because once you apply this, there is no going back. Once you start mastering your presence, shaping your image, using information as a tool, and silence as a weapon, everything shifts. The ones who overlooked you will begin to notice. The ones who underestimated you will start to question, and the ones who thought they could manipulate you will begin to fear you. Why? Because you're no longer the same. You now understand the board, the rules of the game. And here is the moment of truth. Will you apply this knowledge or fall back into ignorance? Because the difference between those who rise and those who disappear is not knowledge, it's action. You can let this remain just another idea in your head, or you can implement it step by step. Small shifts, subtle trials. Add mystery to your presence. Control your urge to overshare. Respond with calm instead of raw emotion. Withdraw when needed. Observe in silence while others rush blindly. Tiny actions, repeated over time, that will reshape how the world perceives you. Until one day, you are no longer invisible. Until one day, you are no longer just another face in the crowd. Because the world does not remember those who merely existed. It remembers those who mastered the game. So now I ask you, are you ready to play? If you've made it this far, prove it. Comment. Power is in the silence. Let me see who truly understood. And if this message forced you to think differently, subscribe. because this is just the beginning. I'll see you in the next one. And remember, don't just play the system, be the one who rewrites the rules. Because here's the truth. Most people will hear this message, nod their heads, and then go back to being the same. But not you. You have already stepped onto a different path the moment you understood these words. The moment you felt that spark inside, when you realized that power doesn't always shout sometimes. It whispers. So carry this forward, experiment, test, adjust. Watch how the world starts to bend, not to who you were, but to who you're becoming. This is your turning point. This is where the silent player becomes the strategist. This is where invisibility. And so comment it now. Power is in the silence. That phrase isn't just for me, it's for you. A reminder every time you see it, that you're no longer moving blindly, you're moving with intent. And if you're ready to keep sharpening this edge, if you're ready to uncover strategies that most people never see, then subscribe now, because the next video will take this even deeper. Until then, stay sharp, stay quiet, stay in control, because power isn't given, it's taken, and silence is where it begins. There is a reason silence has always been feared by the loudest men in history. The generals, the kings, the leaders who never needed to raise their voices were often the most dangerous. They understood something that the restless, the impatient, the impulsive never could. That silence is not emptiness. Silence is not weakness. Silence is a weapon. Think about it. When you walk into a room, who commands the atmosphere? The one who fills it with constant noise? Or the one who doesn't need to? Presence isn't about sound, it's about weight. And silence, when used correctly, has weight heavier than any words. But here's the paradox. Most people are terrified of silence. They rush to fill it. They panic when no words come out. They believe that if they are not speaking, they are not existing. And that is why silence destroys them, because they cannot bear to face it. You, however, are different. You are beginning to understand that silence is not the absence of action. It is the concealment of it. A strategy, pause before the strike, a space that makes others reveal themselves while you remain unreadable. And this is where the transformation truly begins. Step 1. Redefining silence. Let's be clear, silence is not passivity. It is not hiding. It is not cowardice. True silence is active restraint. It is you controlling the rhythm of the interaction, deciding when to withhold and when to reveal. Mediocre people speak to prove something. Strategists speak only to achieve something. Of silence as your shield and sword as a shield. It protects you from giving away too much, too soon. As a sword, it forces others to make the first move, to expose their intentions before you act. The world is impatient. People can't resist the urge to show their cards. They gossip, they rant, they over-explain, and every time they do, they give away power. If you master silence, you will always know more about them than they know about you. And knowledge is control. Step 2. Strategic patience. Let's move deeper. Silence alone isn't enough. You must pair it with patience. The impatient reveal themselves. The patient control the board. Every great strategist has understood this. The general who waits for the enemy to grow restless. Negotiator who lets the silence hang until the other side cracks. The investor who sits still while the crowd chases noise. Ask yourself, how many mistakes in your life came from impatience? From rushing to reply, rushing to act, rushing to prove yourself? And how many victories, however small, came when you paused, when you waited, when you chose the right moment instead of the first moment? Patience is the art of turning time into your ally. The longer you wait, the more others reveal themselves. The longer you observe, the clearer the patterns become. The longer you remain calm, the more others exhaust themselves. This is not inactivity. This is preparation. The silence before the storm, the bowstring pulled back, waiting for release. And when you combine patience with silence, you stop being predictable. You stop being another piece in the system. You become the anomaly. Step 3. Emotional control is power. Silence and patience mean nothing if you cannot master your emotions. This is the true battlefield, because the loudest wars are not fought with weapons, they are fought inside the mind. Think about the times you've been provoked. Someone insulted you, challenged you, disrespected you. And what did you do? You reacted instantly emotionally. That reaction gave them exactly what they wanted. You're controlled, but the strategist does not react. He responds slowly, calmly, with purpose, sometimes with words, sometimes with silence. Understand this. When you are calm, others grow nervous. When you are unreadable, others project their fears onto you. When you do not react, others lose their power over you. Emotional control is not suppression, it is redirection. You don't ignore anger, you wield it. You don't kill fear, you tame it. You don't deny pain, you transform it. This is what separates the victim from the player. Victims are moved by emotions, players move through emotions. Step 4. Perception is reality. Now, let's enter the most dangerous territory, perception. This truth. It does not matter what you are. What matters is what you appear to be. People cannot read your thoughts. They cannot measure your intentions. They only see what you project. Here is where most fail. They work hard, but they remain invisible. They tell the truth, but no one listens. They are loyal, but no one values them. Why? Because they never learned to control their image. The strategist understands that perception is more powerful than reality. If the world sees you as weak, it does not matter that you are strong. If the world sees you as insignificant, it does not matter that you hold potential. So you must learn to shape perception. Speak less, and when you speak, make every word heavy. Enter a room with posture, not apology. Do not rush to prove. Make others curious enough to seek. Let silence frame you as someone whose value cannot be cheapened. When perception changes, treatment changes. When treatment changes, opportunities appear. And when opportunities appear, the world opens. Step 5. The scarcity principle. Let's push further. Another law of power. Scarcity creates value. What is abundant is taken for granted. What is scarce is desired. This applies to everything: resources, relationships, even your presence. If you are always available, always speaking, always explaining, always proving, you lose value. You become ordinary. But if you hold back, if you appear less frequently, if you choose your words carefully, if you do not make yourself accessible to everyone, you create scarcity, and scarcity multiplies worth. This is why silence, patience, and control must all work together. They make you scarce, they make you different, they make you stand out without begging for attention. The strategist knows to be rare is to be remembered. Step 6. The power of mystery. Now we arrive at the hidden card. Mystery, what people cannot fully understand. They cannot fully control. When you are mysterious, you are unpredictable. And unpredictability is a shield. Most people are open books. Too easy to read, too easy to manipulate. They explain their intentions, they reveal their weaknesses, they wear their hearts on their sleeves. But you are not an open book, you are a puzzle. A paradox. Someone whose silence speaks more than their words. Someone who leaves people wondering what's behind the curtain. Mystery creates respect. It creates fear. It creates fascination. And it ensures that no one can ever predict your next move. Step 7. Transformation into the strategist. At this point, you may already feel it, the shift inside you. The realization that you were never weak. You were simply playing the wrong game. That you were not ignored because you lacked value, but because you never controlled the way value was seen. Now you know better. Now you understand the laws of silence, patience, perception, and mystery. Now you see the world differently, not as chaos, but as a board where every move counts. And here lies the final choice. Do you act on this knowledge, or do you let it fade like every other piece of advice you've ever heard? If you begin small, practicing silence, controlling your emotions, choosing presence over noise, you will transform slowly at first, then all at once. And when that happens, people will notice. They won't know exactly what changed, but they will feel it. They will treat you differently. They will hesitate before crossing you. They will respect you not because you demanded it, but because you commanded it. The closing call. The world does not remember those who simply existed. It remembers those who mastered the game. And now you know how to play, but this is just the beginning. The true lessons are still ahead, because silence is only the first weapon. There are others far more dangerous, far more subtle, far more powerful. So, the question is, will you walk this path further? If you've made it here, comment, "Power is in the silence." Let the world see that you understand. And if you're ready to continue sharpening yourself into someone unrecognizable, subscribe, because in the next lesson, we'll go even deeper into strategies that shift not just how others see you, but how the world bends around you. Until then, stay sharp, stay unreadable, stay in control, because in the end, power is never loud. Power whispers, and silence is where it begins.